The story begins on a cold morning, with the city already alive, but one woman's world collapsing in silence. She walked into the office carrying a small cake in a paper bag, her face lit up with a fragile hope. It was her birthday, a day she thought might go unnoticed, but she wanted to celebrate quietly with her colleagues. Instead, she was called into the corner office and given a sentence that shattered her. "You refired." The words cut deeper than she expected, not just because she lost her job, but because of how mercilessly it happened the very day she was supposed to feel seen, valued, even loved. She walked out with her box of belongings, holding back tears, while whispers followed her down the hallway. Strangers smirked, mocking her behind her back. They thought she was weak, broken, finished. No one knew the truth. No one knew the storms she had already survived, or the secret that made her smile even through this humiliation. Because long before this moment, she had known what it felt like to be truly lost. She had been homeless once, sleeping on park benches, invisible to the world. Back then, no one believed in her. But during those darkest nights, she made herself a promise. If she ever climbed back up, she would never again let someone else define her worth. And yet, as she stood outside that glass tower with her cardboard box, she wasn't angry. She was calm, almost too calm. The same people who mocked her had no idea that the woman they dismissed was holding on to something they couldn't even imagine. A hidden fortune, a plan years in the making. The man who fired her thought it was just another routine decision. To him, she was replaceable. To her, it was destiny pushing her into the next chapter of her life. He didn't know that while he was signing her termination papers, she was quietly holding the strings that could one day decide his future. As days passed, whispers of her disappearance spread. She vanished from the office gossip mill, but not from the city. She began moving silently, meeting people in hidden signing documents behind closed doors. Rumors swirled. Some said she had left the country. Others claimed she was crushed and begging for work elsewhere. The truth was far more dangerous. She had been building connections for years, connections in places her old boss never dreamed of reaching. She had invested wisely, quietly turning every coin into an empire no one saw coming. Meanwhile, the man who fired her began to notice cracks forming in his own life. Deals slipped through his fingers. Investors pulled out without explanation. Opportunities he once took for granted began vanishing one after another, as though invisible hands were moving against him. He couldn't understand it, until one night, at a gala where the most powerful faces in the city gathered, he saw her again. She walked in with an air of quiet authority, no longer carrying a box of belongings, but surrounded by allies whose influence made him pale. The same woman he fired on her birthday was now someone whose name whispered power. He realized, too late, that the tables had turned. The person he had humiliated now had the power to decide his fate. He tried to approach her, his voice shaking with apologies, begging for her forgiveness. But she didn't answer. She only looked at him with eyes that carried both the weight of the past and the silence of someone who no longer needed validation. Around them, the crowd moved, unaware that a battle of pride and regret was unfolding between two people bound by a moment that had changed both of their lives. But here is where the story twists again. Because while he begged, and while she remained silent, she wasn't simply basking in victory. She was thinking of something else, something no one in that room could guess. For hidden beneath her fortune and newfound power was still the girl who once slept on benches, who remembered the pain of being forgotten. She hadn't yet decided what to do. Forgive him and close the circle. Or let him taste the coldness of being cast aside the same way he had done to her. The ending remains unspoken. The last image is of her walking away from him, her expression unreadable, leaving viewers to wonder what choice she made: forgiveness or revenge, redemption or silence. The story leaves us hanging on the edge, a reminder that sometimes the greatest power isn't wealth or revenge, but the choice of what to do with both. And that's where the audience is pulled in, because the real question lingers not about her fortune or his downfall, but about ourselves. If we were in her place, what would we do? Would we forgive the one who hurt us on the day we needed kindness the most? Or would we let silence speak louder than forgiveness ever could? This is not just a story of betrayal, wealth, and power. It's a story about resilience, second chances, and the haunting reality that every decision creates ripples. She was once underestimated, mocked, and forgotten. But now she stands as living proof that destiny belongs to those who dare to rise when the world pushes them down. So the man begs, the woman walks away, and the audience is left with a question burning in their hearts. Was her silence an act of mercy, or the beginning of something even greater? And that is where the suspense lingers, leaving the door wide open for reflection and, perhaps, a sequel.